What's going on, guys? And welcome to Liberty Garden VGC, an Eevee series startup for players that are getting ready for Worlds, they just want to have fun, or are excited for Gen 9 of no max and wanting to prep for that. Eevee series is a format that's based off a combination between Series 10, which is one restricted no max, and Series 9, which is no restricted with max. And it is no restricted, no max, with two bans, which are no Gothitelle and no Urshifu. So today, in preparation for our upcoming tournament, Saturday, July the 9th, I am giving y'all some of the best VGC players around teams that they have made for this specific format. And I'm starting with myself. Not saying I'm one of them, but I'm obliged because I made the circuit. So, my first VGC team that I found success with was the Rillaboom and Drifloon, made by X-Rays Ovation, or Kevin from Pokesports. So, shout out to him. So, this team has Min Speed Rillaboom with Life Orb, just to hit hard with those fast, grassy glides. It has Fake Out, Protect, Knockoff. I put Knockoff there to deal with things like Cresselia, which are annoying, and other prominent ghost types in this format. And just having the utility to be able to have a powerful move to knock off items is also important. I'm running Min Speed to make sure I can underspeed things that also want to set up terrain like Finny, stuff like that. And Drifloon is one of the things that make this whole team work. It has a specific spread for defense. It has Unburden and Grassy Seed, so when it switches in the Grassy Seed will proc, giving a boost, and also doubling the speed because of the ability Unburden. So instead of 145 speed, it becomes 290 speed, which is very, very, very big. So its moves are Shadow Ball, Tailwind, Will-O-Wisp, Strength Sap. So Tailwind is just to boost up for the rest of the team for the late game sweep. Strength Sap is to make sure you can regen enough to stay around, because it's usually a frail Pokemon, but with these EVs and with the Grass Seed and with the Will-O-Wisp and the Strength Sap and all of those tools it has, and it's often going to be ignored, the Strength Sap can be big to just get yourself back up to full health. Regieleki is there because it's just one of the most potent and good Pokemon in the format. Focus Sash is there just so it's always going to be on the field for a turn unless it's getting double targeted. It's got a Rain Dance, Electro Web, Thunder, Volt Switch. So that's actually a tech that I don't remember where I saw it from, but I think it was probably a Series 10 team that utilized this, but I think it's very good. And in that team, it was a setup for Urshifu, but since Urshifu is banned, it uses to set up for Dracovish, which I'll go over later. And it also makes it so it can hit big 110 base power thunders in the rain that can never miss, which is very big with its transistor and such. And it's got Volt Switch just to be able to phase out and Electro Web to job. Next we have Incineroar, and I think with things like Size Spam being so good in this format and all the good fairy types, that Assault Vest is a really good item to have, especially since when you switch in, you have the Intimidate ability, which drops the other person's physical attack already. You got Throat Chop, U-Turn, Flare Blitz, Fake Out. Fake Out is just because Fake Out is one of the best utility moves in series, Eevee series, because you can't Dynamax to block Fake Out, so Fake Out is just very solid on this team, and it's just a good utility Pokemon all around. Flare Blitz just to do damage, Throat Chop to have a reliable dark type attack, and it can also be used to nullify other Incineroars that may be going for things like Throat Chop. Then we have Dracovish. Dracovish is a very good Pokemon, especially when it's in rain. It's choice banded. Not a lot of things are going to be able to take that, and then you don't have to. Normally, a Dracovish will run something like either the Sand Rush ability, or it'll run the item Choice Scarf to make sure it goes in front of everything. However, since we have this Tailwind and such, we don't really need it as much as we normally would. So it's really a great sweeper. And this last Pokemon is Moltres Galar, made by my good friend Perp. He'll be on the video later, but he used this to win the first and only Eevee Series tournament hosted by the Battle Frontier. It's Scarf Moltres with Fire Wrath, Air Slash, U-Turn, Hurricane. U-Turn is just there to be able to phase in and out and not be locked into anything. If you switch in, you see, oh crap, I have a bad matchup, you can normally move first and switch out. With that U-Turn, the Hurricane is there because sometimes you'll be in the rain with Regieleki, so take advantage of that extra 25 damage. Air Slash is there if you don't have the rain and you want something a little bit more reliable. You can click that, get your flinches. And Fire Wrath is also there to be just a strong stab move. Spread stab move is just really good in this format. So that's about it. I hope y'all enjoyed the rest of the video with some other great players, and I hope to see y'all in the tournament this Saturday. I'll make sure to add the Discord link in the description. Thank you.
Hello, I am Luke1192, winner of the Nino Pokevo's Invitational just a few weeks ago. And this is my Eevee series team that I made. We have Cresselia with Icy Wind, Psyshock, Calm Mind, and Helping Hand. So we have Icy Wind to get speed control. I choose it rather than Trickroom because my only other really slow Pokemon is Aegislash. And we have Psyshock to do a big stab damage, and then Calm Mind to get really bulky and do more damage. Helping Hand for really good support, and Garchomp, Aegislash, and Regieleki to get some really good knockouts. And the spread on this thing is the 224 HP is divisible by 16, making it so we get extra leftovers recovery. And we have this much speed because I think it should outspeed a lot of Tapu Fini and other Cresselia, so that we can get an Icy Wind and then have Aegislash outspeed. And then we have a lot of special attack, just so we can do a lot of damage with like Icy Wind to a Landorus, for example. And then just a little bit of bulk, so we don't die so we can take hits from like Incineroar a little bit better, or just like any dark attack. And then we have Garchomp, which has a lot of speed, so we can outspeed most other Pokemon that aren't like... It outspeeds most things because it's over 100 base speed. And we have a lot of attack and Swords Dance, so we can hit really hard and do a lot of damage into Incineroar. I believe this Garchomp actually kills Incineroar for +1, so if we just Swords Dance once, even if we get intimidated, it still kills Incineroar with Earthquake. And then the HP is optimized for Life Orb Recoil, right there. We have these attacks. You could run Protect over Dragon Claw, but I like having the coverage versus like other Garchomps or Dracovish. Our next Pokemon is Incineroar with Flare Blitz and Taunt, Parting Shot and Fake Out. Pretty standard set. I wanted Taunt so I could shut down like other Cresselias better. And then this spread, it's pretty fast, so we should outspeed a lot of Pokemon, including Turbo Shroom, which shouldn't be too common, but it's still worth outspeeding, I think. And then we have some pretty standard EVs on it. This Togekiss has safety goggles so that we can avoid sleep powders and spores from like Lilligant or Amoonguss, and has enough HP and special defense to, I believe, survive a Magnet max special attack modest Regieleki Volt Switch, which is probably pretty useful for the most part. And then Dazzling Gleam to get some damage down from both Pokemon, maybe to break some Sassage. Follow me, pretty standard, Protect pretty standard, Yawn pretty standard. Aegislash, so this is a pretty weird set, I guess, but we have Shadow Sneak, Shadow Claw, Sacred Sword, and King's Shield. I wanted Sacred Sword to help with Incineroar, and the spread is so that we can outspeed things that are above base 100 if they're at -2 speed, and then we have a lot of defense investment and attack investment so we can get some kills. And Shadow Claw has increased critical hit ratio combined with scope wins, so we're like critting 50% of the time when we use Shadow Claw, which is pretty good, especially if we're intimidated. Because you can just ignore the intimidate. It's just really good, especially since King's Shield does not block status moves, making it so you can still get parting shotted even if you protect with King's Shield. So being able to crit through that is really, really nice. You could also run special Aegislash, but I wanted to run physical to deal with other Crystalias better, because I felt like this team was pretty weak to other Crystalias. That's also why I have Aegislash over something like Cortana, even though I know you can use Night Slash, but it's just not as strong. And then we have Regieleki with a Magnet and really bulky EVs. The spread outspeeds all modest Regieleki. Then we have max special attacks here, so we can do really good damage. And it survives, I believe, Miracle Seed, Max Attack, Adamant, Rillaboom, Grassy Glide. I believe that's what this spread does. A pretty standard moveset with Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Electroweb, and Protect.
Hey everybody, my name is Ian, otherwise known as 76 Online. This is the team that I brought to the Spikemuth Cup side event at NAIC. They held this event for 2 days, and I was able to win the first event using these Pokemon. So originally I wanted to build a Dragonite team because I thought it could be very strong with the utility it has. Basically, its inner focus allows it not to be faked out by Incineroar or Rillaboom, and it can just ignore their Intimidates and everything else that they want to throw at them. They really cannot touch Dragonite in any sense of the word. So the Wing Beat is for Rillaboom and Superpower for Incineroar. Assault Vest, I really like this variant. I actually built this team with another player called Wooly, or Celine. She was a really big help, and she actually suggested the Assault Vest idea. Initially I had Life Orb, which is also still really good. Life Orb will ensure that Superpower and Dueling Beat kill most variants of Incineroar and Rillaboom outright. But this gives it a little bit more survivability, and I think it's something that the team needed a little bit. But I wanted to build this team around Dragonite, so I wanted to have Nihilego just as another powerful hitter that could be next to it, and then Serena and Incineroar kind of help with supporting those two with the utility they provide, both in bulk and just like stopping priority attacks. And then the last two Pokemon I kind of wanted to have just to fix like some matchups that I was a little bit worried about. Number one matchup that I needed to fix was Cresselia and Regieleki. I didn't really know how to fix this. Initially I had like Tyranitar and Excadrill, which did fine, but I decided to go with Shedinja. Shedinja was really fun. I'm not sure if it was the correct pick, but it definitely did work, and you can make it work in those matchups. Regieleki is unable to touch Shedinja unless it has like Assurance, and Cresselia is basically never going to carry a move that can hit it. So you will always be able to endgame both of those Pokemon, and if you get even a little bit of chip with Extreme Speed, then Shadow Sneak will be able to kill opposing Regieleki. And then Golduck is probably the most interesting Pokemon that I have in this team. Definitely underutilized, and its Cloud9 ability is why I brought it. I was definitely worried about the Rain matchup. I didn't have a way to clearly stop their speed control, and this is a way to deal with it. Golduck actually was really strong, its Hydro Pump is able to one-hit KO many Incineroar variants, but it needs 252 Modest and a Mystic Water and able to accomplish that. But it definitely pulled its weight. Icy Wind was able to just slow things down, and then you also, of course, have Soak to pair with Shedinja and give it the water typing. But overall, you can play this kind of like a balanced team, especially.
Hello, it's Marcus, or Strider, whatever. Tanner asked me to do Eevee series rental team showcase kind of thing, type beat. And this is what I have. So I'll just give a brief little lowdown on the basics of the team, I suppose. This is Regieleki. This is Tapu Koko. They are funny guys. I think you'll be able to notice right away, this is an electric spam team. Something that, in my opinion, is super strong in a no-max format. We've seen throughout Dynamax formats, Regieleki Dynamaxing and setting its own electric terrain to, when it's out of Dynamax, then click Rising Voltage. Sometimes we've seen, I believe it was a Series 9 Sun team, that we saw Tapu Koko and Regieleki on the same team, where Regieleki just had Choice Specs Rising Voltage, like it does here. And the basis is really simple. Rising Voltage in Electric Terrain with Choice Specs, it kills everything. There's exceptions to this, obviously, but there's not a lot that can survive this pairing. The main things that I would say you have to worry about are what the rest of the four cover. So Cresselia is there for a couple of things. First of all, it's your Trick Room matchup. It sits there and stalls out Trick Room really, really well, actually. There's not a lot of things that can actually deal with Cresselia and Incineroar under Trick Room. Araquanid's there too, in case you really if you want to set up Trick Room aggressively, or if you have a decently solid Trick Room mode. I suppose I should go over the movesets. So, Regieleki, Choice Specs, does ridiculous amounts of damage. Rising Voltage is there for obvious reasons. Thunderbolt is there for if you're ever not in terrain, which happens more often than you would think. Finny, Rillaboom, and Indeedee/Lele are very common. So, even Bulu is like a thing in Nomax. So, there's a lot of ways to not have electric terrain set up. And there's various ways to deal with that, which I'll go over in a bit, but Thunderbolt is one of them. Electrob's there in case you're ever dealing with something like Ally Switch, or if you just want to get speed control so that your Koko can do something, although I don't know why you would have Koko being your damage dealer. Regieleki just does damage. But Electrob's there, and Thunder Cage is an interesting one, because Thunder Cage is actually really cool on Regieleki, especially in Nomax, because you can't switch anything once you have Thunder Cage, once you're Thunder Caged. The chip is nice. It can set up for some more complicated kills with Serena, Araquanid, Koko. But the main thing is they can't switch, which means you can pivot around and do whatever you want. And especially on a team like this, it's really, really nice to have them not being able to switch. Which, when it's not Eevee series, I have Gothitelle on this team, because Gothitelle, I mean, it's so good. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Koko, obviously, is there for the Electric Surge. It's Salt Vest, so that you can tank special hits more comfortably. You're not tanking Grout hits anyways, but Electrobe, Dazzling Gleam, Nature's Madness, and Volt Switch. Nature's Madness is there to also help set up some kills with the Lucky. Electrobe is there for managing speed control, D-Gleam, and Volt Switch filler moves at that point. Cresselia. So it has Trick Room, obviously. It has Ice Beam, because ground types are a problem, obviously, when you're playing Electric Spam. So things like Landorus, Landorus Incarnate, which is very common, does not like to see Ice Beam coming out from Cresselia. So it's really nice. Moonlight is there to stall. Skill Swap. There's a couple things you can do with it. You can self-skill swap the Aleki or the Koko. not really the Aleki as much, but the Coco, you could do either one to obviously make sure that ground moves don't hit, and then your only weakness is gone. At least on Regieleki's end. But another cool thing you can do, and I played in a Nomax tournament at Nats, North America, and I self skill swapped an Ensign in front of like my own Ensign in front of a Glastrier so that I could get the Intimidate off again and also dodge the high horsepower that was coming in. So it's cool. It offers a lot of utility. If you really want to go for something over like Side Shock or Icy Wind or something over Skill Swap, you can. I just prefer Skill Swap. Ensign. It's Ensign. Intimidate, Flare Blitz, Fake Out, Parting Shot, and Protect's the interesting tech. Protect is there because Ensign on this team wants to stay on the field so that it can threaten. So if it's next to Regieleki, Ensign staying on the field is something that it's sort of a threat management thing for them because they want to deal with the Regieleki, but they also want to deal with the Ensign because if they don't deal with the Ensign can do things like Parting Shot, Fake Out, like Flare Blitz. There's a lot of things that they don't want to leave Ensign unchecked. So Protect just allows it to be there so that if they're going after the Incineroar as opposed to the Aleki, not only does it let the Incineroar stay on the field for another turn, but it lets the Aleki stay there as well. Araquanid has Rocky Helmet because, I mean, it's just, again, everything about this team is setting up kills for Aleki. So if they're hitting an Araquanid, it's taking chip. At least physical attackers. So, other than that, you just set up Trick Room. This thing goes ham. Liquidation, Lunge, Protect. Soak. Soak is funny. Soak's not going to come up a lot, I'm not going to lie, but it's funny for BM, and it's funny for, like, you just soak the opposing Pokemon, and sometimes it's important, so it's just there. And I mean, what else are you going to use? Wide Guard's not, I get Wide Guard for Earthquake stuff, but Wide Guard's not particularly important here. Serena is there because that is it's the main method of dealing with Fake Out. So Regieleki's obviously very threatened by Fake Out is one of the main things because it doesn't have Protect, it's choice specs. So Serena can switch in after the Coco, and it has eject button, so that if the Serena gets hit on a switch in, or it even just gets hit in general, it can position out into something like the Incineroar or the Coco to reset terrain. It's just very positional on this team. It's meant to be a positional tool. You just have to know how to use it. Power Whip, Triple Axle, Play Rough, Protect, that's all pretty standard. So yeah, that's the team. Honestly, just it looks very hyper offense, very top heavy in terms of Regieleki Coco, but just if you're playing against a good player, they'll know how to position around electric spam, so you have to make sure that you know how to position around their positioning is the basis of it. So that's really all I have to say about this team. I'm going to go change the Araquanid's EVs real quick. Not the EVs, the IVs. I'm going to make it 0 speed. So you know that when you're using this rental code, because you should, the Araquanid is 0 speed IVs. Anyways, go watch the next rental team or something. Bye.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Purple Pickles here, and I'm here with my team for the Battle Frontier Eevee series, Series 9 No Dynamax. So, I built a team for this series, and I just wanted to share with y'all to give y'all some, some inspiration, or maybe if y'all want to use it, you can use it. Feel free to. And I've done this before earlier, and this used to be a thing earlier when Series 9 was still around. And I actually won the only Battle Frontier Eevee Series tournament with Scarf, Galarian, Moltres. That was a fun tournament, and I'm not gonna lie, that thing hard carried me. So this time we're going to be trying out a different Galar bird, but we'll get to that later. First off, let's start with the Rillaboom, the glue of the team and an absolute beast in No Dynamax. So Rillaboom, grass types are actually really good, pretty good, despite their weaknesses and stuff. They're pretty good in this format, and Rillaboom in particular is what really is good. So it has Fake Out, which is really good in this format. Grassy Glide, which with Grassy Surge is priority, which is really good. Like Grassy Glide is really good, especially in No Dynamax, because No Dynamax it just tank it out. Woodhammer is good for just an absolute nuke in grassy terrain. And Knockoff's utility cannot be understated against mons like Porygon 2, Cresselia, and Dusclops who really don't like their item being removed. So the EV spread's nothing crazy. I spec crept a little bit for other Rillaboom because having a faster fake out's really nice. Sacrificed a few points in attack for that, but not much. And overall, it's a pretty standard Rillaboom set in terms of EVs. And so that's Rillaboom. Next up, we have Suicune. Now, Suicune, again, due to fake out being more prevalent, its inner focus ability becomes really good to being able to dodge the fake out stuff like Incineroar and Rillaboom. And it can tailwind in return, meaning it doesn't always have to protect turn one if there's a fake out user on the field, giving it more flexibility in what it can do. So it has tailwind for speed control, Icy Wind also for speed control. So this mod is basically my entire speed control. Has Scald for stab, and the burn is always nice. And then Protect to stall out potential Rillabooms trying to do grass move stuff to reposition something like Incineroar or Zapdos that can help it out. DP spread's nothing crazy. Gave it a little bit of speed to help out speed things in Tailwind, and then the rest just basically went into bulk to make it as bulky as possible. Next up we have Incineroar, which it's Incineroar. I think we all know how good Incineroar is. Intimidate, Fake Out, Parting Shot, Damage Reduction, all the jazz. So it's a pretty standard Incineroar set. I did opt to go for Snarl on my Incineroar set because I like that you can just sit there and deal with special attackers. Which due to me putting a decent amount of bulk in the special defense, it can do that. It's really nice. It's basically just a full damage control package all in one, which is, again is really nice to have, and it's kind of like a essential glue for the team. I did also put a good amount of speed because, again, I like speed creeping, especially on my fake out mons. Alright, next up is Landorus, and this thing hits like an absolute truck in Nomax. Life Orb Sheer Force is a nasty combo. And now its Stab Earth Power that's gonna be, it hits hard and it's great. Its speed tier is also really nice too. With 101 being able to outspeed the base 100s like Zapdos Galar is really nice. Sludge Bomb and Psychic are good coverage for things such as Rillaboom, Moongus, Zapdos, and stuff like that. So it's really nice to have that coverage, which are also really powerful due to also being Sheer Force Life Orb boosted. And then I decided to go max speed for that nice speed tier and the max special attack to hit as hard as possible because it's not exactly that bulky anyways. Next up we have Ferrothorn, who you know the set. The Iron Defense Leech Seed Body Press set. Yep, that thing. Rolling this thing give me an endgame win con and also give me a glue against Trick Room teams, which is really helpful due to Landorus and Zapdos not being great against Trick Room themselves, and with Suicune only being alright due to most of its speed control being nullified. So it just has bulk. I just invested fully in the bulk on this thing because that's kind of the whole point of this set, is just to be bulky and stall you out. So that's Ferrothorn, and then lastly we have Zapdos Galar. Zapdos Galar is our physical offense, with max speed hitting that 100 base speed tier, which is pretty nice, and 125 attack being really good. Flying and fighting stabs are really good, with close combat and bravery being great stabs. Stopping Tantrum being great coverage. And I like Focus Sash on this thing because I haven't used Sash it, and I realized it would give it a good amount of survivability, being able to live hits it otherwise wouldn't, and get off like stab close combats or Brave Birds, which is really nice. Even if Brave Bird does kill it, it's still really useful. I think it's good. So yeah, that's my team for Series 9 EV Tour, and I hope y'all enjoyed.